Hello, in this video I'm going to show how to make concrete. So I'll be using card for the concrete, and I've already glued down some 2mm mounting board, and onto this I will score the panels for the concrete where they pour it in and it sets in different sections. And for that I'm going to use a screwdriver and a steel rule, and I'm just going to score it on. You don't want to press too hard and cut it, and for this I'd recommend a screwdriver or possibly a compass or something, just to leave a mark. And they generally pour it into, you get square sections, so then I'm going to do it the other way. And just use the steel rule as a template, you don't need to do anything else. Okay, so now I've done that. I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but we're going to paint it and then put a wash on to help highlight it, the shadows and where the dirt would collect. Okay, so to paint it I'm going to use this little pot of Humble 40. It seems a right colour for concrete, and I'm going to be using this brush, which is a bit small, so I might swap to using that one depending on how it goes. Okay, so the paint's a little bit thick, so I'm just going to add some water. I'm going to weather the track later, so it doesn't really matter if I get some on the sleepers. When you're painting it, you're going to want to make sure all the brush strokes go in the same direction, otherwise it'll end up looking a little bit messy. And you want to try to use the widest brush that you can find. Preferably I'd use one a little bit wider, but this is all I can find at the moment. So it's all painted now, but it's a little bit thin and patchy in areas, and you can see some brush strokes, so I'm going to wait for it to dry and then put on another coat of paint, but the next coat will be a bit more diluted down, because you don't want to put on too thick coats, otherwise you'll get lots of brush strokes and marks in the paint. Normally you'd leave it to dry for a few hours, but I'm quite impatient, so I'm just going to use a hairdryer. Okay, so now I've put the second coat on, it looks a lot better, less patchy. It's still not completely perfect, but concrete isn't a uniform colour anyway, so it'll probably just add to the realism. But now I'll have to leave this to completely dry for probably a few hours before we put the wash on, otherwise the wash could, paint could turn back to liquid and it would just make a big mess, which has happened to me before, so I recommend leaving it to dry for quite a while. Okay, so it's been a while now and I think that's dry, so now we're going to weather it by putting on the wash, and for that I'm going to be using this poster paint that I got from the works. It was about £1, and just mixing it with some water. This is actually wet water, which is basically water with a few drops of washing up liquid added. It just helps it run better. And then just the mixing palette. So there we go, finally. And then just a little bit of water. And then just mix it. I'm using a thicker brush now because you don't have to be neat. And I like using poster paint because it's water soluble, so if it all goes horribly wrong, like it is now, you can just add some water and wash it off again. Now you don't want it to be too runny because otherwise you can end up, I find, having to put quite a few washes on before it actually starts making a difference. But you just want to get all the black in the lines that we scored on, just to highlight the gaps between the poured concrete panels. Okay, so I think that's about done. Okay, so then you just want to paint it on. Make sure you get it in all the gaps. Now this probably looks quite messy at the moment, but once this is put on, you can just wash it off again, and it should quite help because the paint that I put on before this was satin, so it should come off quite easily. Okay, so that's all on. Then you just want to use some kitchen roll or something just to wipe it away. You don't want to do it too much that you wipe it all off because the gaps aren't. You just want it to be enough that gives it a slightly weathered finish. I think that's looking okay. The bits that you missed, you can just go over again. I'm actually filming, yeah. And this time you could just follow the panel lines, and then you get, hopefully it would show where the dirt would collect around. That's looking quite good. And again, if it all goes wrong, you can add some water, and it should just come off. Yeah, like that. I'll just. Again, you can go as far as you want with this weathering. I don't want it too heavily weathered because this is based on Westerleigh oil depot in Bristol. I've been to it a few times and it's not particularly dirty because it is an active place. But back in the 1970s and places, they were often a lot dirtier. Okay, so now it's all finished. I think it looks quite good for what I'm modelling. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. And this was my first tutorial video, so if there's anything I can improve on, just comment down below. If you want to see a tutorial or something or more of this, just leave me a comment down below, let me know what you'd like to see. And thank you for watching.